Hi guys, I'm John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and the Legend of Ashley Fox. Today we're looking at 100 Bullets number 37, but first we've got World Fantasy Tarot 19, the Sun, the Phoenix, and that's a pretty cool card. Me and my brother were talking about how, this reminds me of Jean Grey, and he was saying why female superheroes can't work. That was just because the Marvels movie was awful. Brie Larson, and she's not bad to look at, but that movie was just handled really, really poorly. No one ever complained about Elektra or La Femme Nikita or Jean Grey or Storm or Psylocke because those characters were all written correctly. They were all done right. It can be done right. No one complained about Ripley in Aliens. You just have to have someone competent telling the story. And this one is about Dizzy. I can't say that this is a fill-in issue, sort of, and I think missing 25 was pretty significant. I need to get that one. There's a note in here that Augustus Pelles was executed or murdered or taken off the board, and I'm thinking that happened in that, assassinated maybe. I'm thinking that happened in that issue, so I do need to get that. And I think I'm also missing number 7. There's a few that I'm missing, so we need to get those. Anyhow, this bar regular is asking if the bartender saw the Cubs last night. Apparently they're obviously in Chicago because Dizzy is visiting home. And it is amazing how Shepard and Graves they're always in a bar together. They always know where each other are at. They come in for a little conversation, stuff that can't be said over the phone, and asking if it's a nice day so far. You think it's gonna rain? You never can tell. The weather changes fast. So there's Graves meeting with Shepard. So these two obviously are not enemies. Shepard has been babysitting Dizzy. That's his job. And Graves is asking him how it's going and what he thinks about her. And they're giving each other updates about the situation with the trust. Benito isn't mentioned. And again, this one is a lot of subtext. They're talking around the issue, not directly to it. Sun Times, the Chicago Tribune. Gotta remember that. On accidental purpose. And they order drinks. Graves orders vodka on the rocks, and Shepard says, on the rocks? He says, well, it's still early. And that had been part of the conversation about the weather. It's still early. You never know how it's going to go. And Shepard explains that Dizzy's not here. Graves keeps asking Shepard, you're alone? By yourself? No one's here? He let Dizzy go home. She wanted to. Put her in a cab. And so this is her at her mom's house. And she walks up to the door and walks away. She's not ready to see her mom yet. I really should leave this up for a bit, but there's no dialogue. There's not a lot to say. Her name is Isabel, Izzy, Dizzy. That's how she got her nickname. Here is this little rugrat drinking puddle water. His mom comes out and scolds him, and she knows Dizzy. They're friends, used to be friends, grew up together. And Dizzy has a conversation in the laundromat with all her former friends about how they're milking the welfare system. This one's pregnant even though her husband's in jail. And just because he's in prison doesn't mean she needs to be. And this is so typical of just hood culture. What I would love to see scrubbed out of the United States of America. As they say, the first nation that declares itself white and Christian will be flooded with people. Good people. And that is the truth. So one of these mamas goes through all the explanation of why it's better for her to be on welfare than to get a job. The other one says that her husband's got 2 jobs and they call one of their friends who can't come over because she's working and her husband's working 2 jobs and they have to keep working. This one of these two is buying a house with the rest of her family and they're all going to move in together. Graves and Shepard enjoy a cigarette. Graves grills Shepard on what's going on with Dizzy. Is he sleeping with her? Does he have feelings for her? Is she ready? She's not ready. He's not sleeping with her. He doesn't want her found dead. Graves says dead, but Shepard says he doesn't want her to become like us. That's good writing. This is really good writing. And this is hard to get in comics. They enjoy their drinks. They don't say a whole lot. This is more back and forth, and that sort of noir patter, subtext, lots of subtext. They don't talk about exactly what they're talking about. They do talk about the fact that Augustus Pelles was murdered, and that, well, we'll get to that in a second. The next bit we'll get to in a second. Art is really top shelf. Although I don't like how sometimes he lets the faces fill the entire panel and not round it out where it would be rounded out. Like there's lines missing on that panel, but it doesn't matter. It's a small panel. Who cares? It's like complaining that there's not background in every panel. I love this background, the frame of a mirror that's dark. Apologies for going through this so quick. I am still in a considerable amount of pain from my eye. At the laundromat, they explain how they're going to get a house together and ought to quit that job and this and that. They are asking Dizzy about how she can afford such fine clothes and who is the man that's paying for all of it and what does she have to do for it and blah, blah, blah. Dizzy's enjoying time with the new baby who is named not Angel. She says, "Who's this little angel?" And her friend tells her that's Isabel. The baby is named after her. That's pretty cool. Again, good writing. And I can kind of feel for these people, but not really. I've never taken any welfare. And like I said, I've been qualified lots of times. Taking welfare is the beginning of the end because you become dependent on it. And that's exactly what they want. And that's how this country's been destroyed, is the welfare system. Giving third world savages our tax dollars. Let them improve their own countries. In my novel, in the end of this one, I point out that the first nation that declares everyone in the world a citizen wins the race of nationhood with no handouts. You don't need to be a citizen. You don't need to be a resident of the land to be a citizen of a nation. It's like being a fan of a fucking band. That's all it is. Race is everything. This guy comes in, he's the horn player. Nothing happens there. We don't get a braided story with this one. He's just a guy. This is where Shepard and Graves discuss our recently murdered friend Milo Garrett in Los Angeles. And they talk about they talk about a few guys, the Saint and a couple others, but they do mention that Milo was killed, unforeseen circumstances, and that might not actually apply to this at all. Oh, and it wasn't Augustus Perez, it was Daniel Perez who was killed. Augustus is still alive and consolidating power. I think Augustus is Augustus Medici. Daniel Perez, I think, was the big guy in the last ones where Benito was at the casino. I think he's the guy who got killed at that summit. The book that we missed that I have to go back and get. Apologies. Graves is angling to put Augustus Medici in charge of the trust. He wants him running the 13 families, that it's better, peace is better. However, it's acquired, and that would be the best for everyone. They mention a guy, Javier Vasco. I don't know who he is or how he's involved. Again, this is a conversation without consequences. Some of it is recap, some of it is foreshadowing, but none of it plays out in this bar right here and now. It's not like when Milo and Lono met up. The horn guy comes in and plays his music, but that's all. We lost our custodian in LA. He doesn't call him a custodian. Our man. We lost our man in LA, found dead, murdered, and he says suicide. Sleeping pills, a noose, Lono. Done. Good. Back to the girl. So Milo Garrett's story is over. He did not survive. The bullet to the teeth would have done it. If you get the little spot between the upper lip and the bottom of the nose, that goes right through the peach pit at the back of the skull, and that will really kill a guy. The teeth might deflect the bullet and drive it out through the side of the neck and not separate the brain stem, but the shot to the heart really did it too. So that's that. Dizzy having a conversation with her friends. This conversation runs out pretty quick. I mean, how much is there to catch up on? Her kid's out jumping in the puddle. She has to go drag him inside, strip him down, and wash all his clothes. Dizzy's heard enough. She's got to go see her mom. And none of her friends mentioned anything about her mom, which is good writing, to be honest. They shouldn't have, because this is interesting. Dizzy goes up to the house right by the train. This guy's living there. She asks about her mom. She has a nickname for her. Her mother, Benita Cordova. Yeah, he brings out all her mail. He's been living there for about 6 months, and the place was empty for a few months before he got to it. Dizzy has been gone for a year. Here's one of those panels where it's not fully, it's my only complaint in this book. We get one or two of these in every issue. It's not that bad. Look at how much work he put into the house. Over and over and over again. He's drawn that 3 or 4 times. At any rate, Dizzy's mom is gone and she doesn't know where. Shepard and Graves finish their conversation, and I felt like they were meeting at night, but it's the middle of the afternoon. Like Graves said, it's still early yet, so it was early in the day. The weather was nice, but it could rain. The weather could change at any time. This is where they have their conversation about the Saint and a couple other guys. The Point Man apparently might be someone who hasn't woken up yet. That might be Wiley. Point Man might be Wiley, but they're talking about the Point Man, the Saint, and the Monster. The Monster has got to be Lono or Jack. Maybe Jack. But they are assembling their crew. They are putting the band back together. I can't imagine a comic getting this kind of leeway to build its story these days, or a TV show. They want everything done in 8 issues or less. 8 episodes of television, 6 issues of a comic. And a comic is only a half an hour. I did remember the half-hour action show, eventually Mr. In-Between, by a guy named Ray. Well, it's about a guy named Ray Shoesmith, who is an assassin in Australia. He makes people disappear. The Magician, I think it's called. The Magician. Don't fuck around, Mr. In-Between. Or maybe it's Mr. In-Between. It's one of those two. I think the movie was called The Magician. The TV show is called Mr. In-Between. It's great. It's great. Brooke Satchwell was in that show. She's in a new movie with Russell Crowe. She's beautiful. She could play a heroine. Joan of Arc. Mila Jovovich made a career doing that. No one complained back then that it didn't work. I think the movie Ultraviolet didn't work, but the rest of them sure did. She's got a new one coming out, and she's in her 50s. It doesn't work anymore. It's pretty clear. They fight, even in the trailer, they fight on a train, and it's all green screen. It's not appealing anymore. Story is everything. So anyhow, Dizzy lets all her mom's mail go, and apparently she lets go of her mom and her family. Her brother's in prison, presumably for a long time. She doesn't know what happened to her mom. Presumably her mom died. Drug overdose, noose, who knows? Her own hand. So 100 bullets, 37. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow.